Okay, I believe we are live and are recording now.
Okay, welcome. My name is Mitzi Bauer. I'm the vice chair. Our chair Ford is not able to connect yet at this time. She might join us in a bit. Welcome to the regular board meeting Thursday, October 8th, 2020. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in and being listening to our board meeting. Open session first. We have a Native Land Acknowledgement read by Director Perez.
Native Land Acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rest on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the Native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Malala, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land. And we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. And we recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past and present, and that will affect those in the future. And we honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you, Director Perez. Next, we have minutes from a regular meeting, September 15th.
Move approval of regular meeting September 15th, 2020.
McVeigh, second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I will go down the roll and say aye, or I mean, unless there's any discussion, any changes.
Just want to clarify that Stradel did the motion.
Okay, and second was McVeigh, correct? If no discussion, then let's have a roll call. Director Benaloga?
Aye.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Perez?
Aye.
Director Schrodel?
Aye.
Director Way?
Aye.
Okay, and Bauer also an aye. Next, minutes from the special meeting, September 24th. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of minutes, special meeting September 24th, 2020. Stradel.
Okay, do you have a second?
Way, second.
Okay, we have approval and second. Any discussion, changes? If not, then we'll go for a roll call. Director Benaloga?
Aye.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Perez?
Aye.
Director Schrodel?
Aye.
Director Way?
Aye.
And Bauer is an aye. Thank you so much, board. Next is consent agenda. We have employment changes and budget committee calendar. As far as the budget committee calendar, there was the date of March 20th was corrected to read March 30th. So do I have a motion for these two items on consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Go
Oh,
ahead, Director Way.
sorry. Way, motion to approve items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Director Way. Second,
Second, Director Perez.
Dr. Perez, thank you. So have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not, then let's have a roll call. Director Benaloga,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schrodel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
and Bauer is an aye. I was informed there's no community requests. That's next on the agenda. So moving on to agenda item 2, Filipino American History Month. And this was brought before us, superintendent's recommendation. to proclaim recognizing October 2020 as Filipino American History. A little background, I think it's important to read some of this. The Filipino Americans are the second largest Asian American group in the nation. The celebration of Filipino American History Month in October commemorates the first recorded presence of Filipinos in the continental United States, which occurred on October 18th, 1587. When Luzon Indios came ashore from the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señor de Esperanza and landed at what is now Morro Bay, California. The late Dr. Fred Cordova, along with his wife, Filipino American National Historical Society founder Dr. Dorothy Lango Cordova, first introduced October as Filipino American History Month. Congress then recognized this in 2009. So across the nation, many groups will be commemorating Filipino American History Month with various activities, events to bring awareness of the significant role Filipinos have played in American history. So I want to thank the previous board for making these proclamations last year, and we're following up with this. So do I have, this is an action item. Do I have a motion?
Director.
Wait. Oh,
Director-
Tina, you should take this.
Thank you. So I move that the board adopt the proclamation recognizing October 2020 as Filipino American History Month in North Clackamas School District.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Do I have a second?
Way second.
Thank you. Now, any discussion?
I would use this opportunity now to read the proclamation into the record, and then you can adopt it.
Okay. So we had an assignment by our chair. So I think Director Schroeder was
Thank
first.
you.
You want
Thank you, Vice
to start
Chair.
that off?
Whereas the Filipino American National Historical Society had declared the year 1988 to be the 225th anniversary of the permanent settlement of Filipinos in the continental United States, and had set into motion its year-long national observance in order to focus on the story of our nation's past from a new perspective by concentrating on the economic, cultural, social, and other notable contributions Filipino Americans had made in countless ways towards the development of the United States history. And
Whereas in 2009, U.S. Congress recognized October as Filipino American History Month in the United States.
Director Perez, I think you know.
Sorry, Vice Chair, I started on, and I did not unmute, so I had good dialogue with the wall there for a minute. Whereas efforts must continue to promote the study of Filipino American history and culture, so mandated in the mission statement of the Filipino American National Historical Society, because the role of Filipino Americans and those of other people of color have been overlooked in the writings, teachings, and learnings of United States history. And
Whereas it is imperative for Filipino American youths to have positive role models and to instill in them the importance of education, complemented with the richness of their ethnicity and the values of their legacy. And
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the North Clackamas School District hereby proclaims the month of October 2020 as Filipino American History Month, and encourage all residents to honor Filipino American history and culture.
Adopted this 8th day of October 2020. Is there any further discussion? Director Way, I think you wanted to comment?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to offer this little bit of history and bring it to present day. I was doing a little bit of just research on the origins of this really important recognition of a community that has been here for many, many generations. And I just wanted to read a couple sentences that really, I think, tie back to why it's so important to honor all of our different communities. So what I found was that due to a shortage of nurses in World War II, Filipino nurses in particular were brought into the US to help replenish our workforce and provide care to our most vulnerable. Many of them were also on the front lines fighting the AIDS epidemic, and now in 2020, they are fighting the coronavirus. Unfortunately, these frontline workers have also been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. According to the National Nurses United Union, Filipino nurses comprise 4% of the US workforce, but nearly a third of registered nurse deaths due to COVID-19. So this year in particular, the National Historical Society of Filipino Americans said, this year we recognize the advocacy of our Filipino American healthcare workers who are actively protecting and fighting for our lives every day amidst this global pandemic. So I just wanted to shed light just on the contributions, and also, want to encourage anyone in our community who identifies as Filipino or Filipino American to know that we are here and we proudly proclaim this Heritage Month.
Thank you, Director Wei. That's valuable information. Any other discussion? Okay, if not, then let's move forward. This is an action item. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Nick,
You already,
Oh,
you
we
You
did.
already have that, yeah.
already have it.
Okay, it was Benaloga and second was Wei.
Yep.
That's right. Okay, so now we have the roll call, correct? Okay, Director Benaloga,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schroedel,
Aye.
Director Wei,
Aye.
and Bauer is aye. Thank you, board, for setting me straight, keeping me on path here, and passing the proclamation for Filipino American History Month. Appreciate that. Next on the agenda is the School District Administrator Month proclamation, and I believe I can turn this over to you, Superintendent Utterback.
You can. Good evening, everyone. I bring forward to you a second proclamation tonight that would recognize and honor district administrators. My recommendation is that the board adopt the attached resolution expressing support for school district administrators by designating the month of October in the year 2020 as School District Administrator Month in the North Clackamas School District. And with that, I would encourage the board to take up a motion and read the resolution into the record.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept this for this agenda item?
McVeigh, motion to approve, or motion to approve the agenda item for Superintendent Month.
Thank you. Director, do I have a second?
Second, Director Perez.
Okay, so let's go ahead then and read the resolution and then see if we have any comment. First up is Director Wei.
Whereas the vision, dedication, and determination of district administrators provide the mobilizing effort behind school district improvement efforts.
Whereas administrators in their various roles are expected to be educational visionaries, instructional leaders, assessment experts, disciplinarians, community builders, public relations experts, budget analysts, facility managers, special program administrators, and guardians of various legal, contractual, and policy mandates and initiatives, as well as being entrusted with the education and development of young people, the most valuable resource.
Director Benaloga.
Sorry, I was still muted, talking to myself. Whereas administrators help establish a positive district climate and work collaboratively with staff to develop and maintain high standards and set performance goals and objectives for the district to achieve excellence.
And whereas the North Clackamas School District recognizes outstanding leaders who have succeeded in providing high-quality learning opportunities for students, as well as their exemplary contributions to the profession.
Whereas to honor and recognize the contributions of all district administrators to the success of students in North Clackamas elementary and secondary schools, and to encourage residents of North Clackamas to observe School District Administration Month with appropriate ceremonies and activities that promote awareness of school leadership role in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education.
Be it resolved in honor of the service of administrators and to recognize the importance of their leadership so that every child has access to high quality education and to celebrate school district leader accomplishments. The month of October 2020 is hereby designated in the North Clackamas School District to be School District Administrator Month. This, the 8th day of October 2020. Thank you, board. Any further discussion, comments?
Schradel,
Oh, thank you, Director.
you know,
Schradel?
this is a well-needed document, of course, but it should be added that all the administrators and all the changes that happened all over the summer and continue to do that so we can provide an excellent education. We thank you administrators, you're superstars.
Thank you, Director Schrodel. Any other comments? I just wanted to add too, these are all administrators, and we know you've been working so hard all summer working on inventing these two new models of education. It hasn't been easy, but thank you for all you're doing, and our teacher working numerous hours, numerous committees. So thank you all so much. So now we're ready for the roll call. Okay, any other, if no other discussion? Director Benaloga,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schrodel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
and Director Bauer. Aye. Thank you so much, board. This motion is passed for School District Administrator Month, October 2020. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. Before is opening of school superintendent's report. I'll turn that over to you, Superintendent Utterback.
Thank you. So tonight, I'm bringing forward to you my traditional opening school report. It will look a little bit different tonight because, of course, this year's school year looks a little bit different as well. So first up, each year at this time, I'll share with the board kind of enrollment trends in the school district. And what you'll notice here is something that is not surprising to us, given the fact that we are doing school in the midst of a pandemic that has been kind of gripping our country and our state and community. And so really for the first time in the last 7 years, we saw a drop in our enrollment. That drop is about 800 students from where we thought we were going to be. And when in talking to similar sized districts across the state, they too are seeing similar drops in enrollment. When I've dug into this a little bit, that 800 students, roughly, it seems that about half of those appear to have opted into homeschool for this year. We've seen a little over 400 student increase in registering for homeschool since July 1. About 25% of that drop appears to be families who sought out a different online charter school outside the district's two options. And then the remaining 25% or so, about 225 kids, appear to be kindergartners who parents, at least at this point, appear to not enroll them in kindergarten and likely are waiting a year to do that. So from a budgetary standpoint, I know anytime a school district sees a significant drop in enrollment, we are funded on a per student basis by the state. But the state also has a system in place that allows for a school district's budget to be based on either the current year's enrollment or the previous year's enrollment. And so we're going to be able to maintain our estimated budget for this year based upon last year's enrollment. And then obviously we'll need to do some pretty significant work to figure out what our enrollment will be moving forward in the 2021-22 school year, as we believe that if the virus is in a place where it's being contained, we would anticipate many of those students returning to our school district. So the enrollment trends, diving down into this a little bit more deeply, you can see that elementary is really down about 900 students, and that really is about probably 400% more than any other level in the district. That 900 students does include students who went into the virtual online program as well, which is about 225 at the elementary level. So the reality is, elementary is down about 650 or so students. As I referenced earlier, the biggest drop was at kindergarten at about 255 students. So it basically is down about 21% what we originally thought we were going to see prior to the COVID pandemic. And that has the potential for a very large kindergarten cohort next year. And that will be something that we will need to plan for moving forward. Middle school's down about 230 students from projection, but that 230 students does also include students that are in the VOP, a virtual online program. High school's down 240 students from projection. And then, really a bright spot there is Milwaukee High School is up 40 students from what we originally thought we're going to be. And I probably contribute a lot of that to hopefully students getting into that brand new building at some point later in the school year. We ended up with a virtual online program, current enrollment of about 225 students. You approved an enrollment of about 550. We actually brought in about 570 students into that. And you can see as everything sorted through the first month of the school year, we have lost some students there. So we'll be looking at that moving forward, but they're sitting at about 525 students. And then you'll also see that our charter school enrollment is up about 73 students. So overall, as I referenced, we're down about 800 students. I've shared this slide with you each year's just interest, the largest and smallest schools in the district, and you can see where we are there. Sunnyside's our largest elementary school. They have been in the past, and they continue to be. And then Linwood's right now is our smallest, but obviously they share a building with Sojourner Elementary School. Happy Valley Middle continues to be our largest middle school, and Rouse coming in right at about 800 there. Clackamas High School, last year that they'll be this large, they're at 2,400 students, and New Urban sitting there at 101. Regarding just staffing and class sizes compared to last year, we added 1.5 teachers compared to last year. Again, we initially thought in the spring, right, that we were going to see some growth in student enrollment prior to that pandemic impacting. We added 3.6 FTE to our classified staff compared to last year. And then using our student investment account funds, and we have a presentation on that tonight, we added an additional 5 FTE. A lot of that went, the first 3 went to open the virtual online program. So they have the special education staffing and a counselor, and then we're in the process of hiring those 2 additional community outreach coordinators. So where did with the increase in staffing and the decrease in enrollment, you can see what impact that has had on our class size. Our kindergarten average across the district right now is about 19 students. It was 22 last year. Grades 1 through 5 are sitting on an average of about 24 students. It was 26 last year. And then at the secondary level, you can see that both middle school and high school averaging about 29 students, down from 30 the previous year. And that secondary drop has just been really nice, consistent pattern over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. And getting that now under 30 is, I know, appreciated by our students, our staff, and our parents. So one of the things you had asked, I think, in one of our presentations in August when we were preparing for the opening of comprehensive distance learning was kind of some of the financial impacts of the pandemic and comprehensive distance learning on our budget. And obviously we're really only 3 months into our budget year and really only 1 month into the school year. And so these are, I would say, rough estimates of what we're thinking. And obviously, as we go through the year, we'll be able to get tighter numbers. But these are estimated general fund expenses related to comprehensive distance learning that we initially did not have in the budget. And so personal protection equipment and additional safety barriers, we anticipate spending about $150,000 there. We brought in groups of teachers and administrators to do planning and getting our delivery model set up. We did not have that in the budget, so it's about $50,000 there. Unemployment, as you have reported to you in the past, we have about 200 employees that we have laid off. We anticipate then our unemployment cost increasing by about $600,000, and that's what we're estimating through December. And then I put a little note down at the bottom is that we are providing health insurance for those laid off workers through December as well. That will not be a general fund expense, that will be an expense out of our health insurance account. And then we now have in the neighborhood of about 12,000 computer devices that are in our community's homes. We're estimating that either 20% of those will be lost or damaged or not returned. So we anticipate needing to replace those roughly at about $830,000. There also is the potential for some savings related to our current delivery model. As we anticipate that substitute costs this year, we likely will save in the area of about $1 million. Utilities, water, electric, fuel, maybe $500,000. Extended responsibility salaries, temporary salaries. Again, this is a rough estimate right now, about $750,000. Supplies and materials, obviously we're making far fewer copies than we normally do, and using fewer materials and supplies, so about $500,000. Obviously there's not a lot of travel for professional development, and so $150,000, that's not a large item to begin with, but $150,000 there. We do have some unfilled positions, particularly on the classified side, that we're not filling. And anticipate it's about $300,000 there. For reference, that's probably 6 to 7 positions. And then professional development, again, this is staff going out and seeking professional development and using some of their funds there. There will just be fewer opportunities, and those opportunities will be mostly online. So we anticipate saving about $100,000. So there is the opportunity for the district to save about $3.2 million, and likely with some expenses that we didn't budget of about 1.6. So that's where we are 3 months into this year, and of what our Chief Financial Officer and myself believe to be true today. And then the final piece that I want to share with you is an annual requirement regarding Division 22. And as you are aware, Division 22 are the Oregon administrative regulations that govern the practice of public schools. And they're basically rules and requirements that school districts need to meet each year. There's a lot of them, fewer this year than previous years, but they cover things such as instructional hours, ensuring that our curriculum is aligned to state standards. Do our staff have the appropriate license? Did we complete required trainings for our staff, et cetera? And school districts are required to publicly report their compliance with these standards each year in a board meeting. But what the state did do for us for this year is that due to COVID last year, the number of the standards that we're required to report on was reduced. And what I can share with you tonight is that district staff has reviewed all of the requirements for compliance for the 2019-2020 school year. And we believe we are in compliance with all of those standards that we were required to report on for last year. And as such, we will be communicating our compliance with both ODE, the Oregon Department of Education, and posting a statement on our district website after this meeting that we are in compliance. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen and take any questions that board members may have.
So any questions for Superintendent? You can raise your hand, or we can go through the role.
I have a question.
Director Way?
Thank you, Director Bauer. Superintendent Utterback, you alluded to teachers in particular needing just continued support. We all understand that. I think there were some testimony offered at the last meeting around teachers having to dip into their own personal funds to buy things that are just office supplies and things of that nature. Have we been able to connect back and just find some solutions for that, just so that teachers aren't, again, having to use their own personal money to provide what they need for learning?
Yeah, we actually put a survey out, a technology survey out to our teachers. I think earlier this week, maybe it was late last week, and we'll be reviewing those survey results. We expect to get feedback regarding technology equipment that teachers may need, and as well as professional development that they still need as well. So data is being collected, and then we will review that and make plans accordingly. And actually, we worked in collaboration with our Teachers Association on that survey going out.
Any other questions for Superintendent Utterback? Superintendent, I just had one. So classified staff increased in FTE compared to last year, even though we did cut some classified staff.
Yeah, so
how did that work?
Yeah, so we added 3.6 FTE. I believe some of that was in custodial. I without looking specifically at, I don't remember exactly what all 3.6 was. I believe 2 of that 3.6 was custodial rovers to help cover buildings when substitute or when custodians are out. And so, and yes, and then in addition to adding that FTE, we also have reduced roughly 200 classified staff this fall in those areas that are funded outside the general fund. And so in areas of transportation, childcare, and nutrition services.
I think that's good for the public to know. Thank you.
Yes.
So if no other comments, questions, I want to thank the superintendent for the information, Fine. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Right. Which is board reports. So shall we just go in alphabetical order? I will start with Director Benaloga.
Thank you, Director Bauer. Of course, lots of things have been moved to virtually and online. So I've been doing a few things, mostly being involved with the PCLA in ways that I can, talking with our legislative leaders about liability insurance and just trying to collaborate with our community to make sure we're having a positive start to the year. And then also I had I was able to join the RAU collaborative meeting on Monday with Director Perez. And I just want to mention that it's an amazing group of people that truly comes together with a very full list of community partners, and not that that's the answer, and we're all aware that it's not going to solve all the problems in our community, but they are certainly doing a really good job with bringing in those partners and collaborating with people within the community and meeting as many needs as they possibly can. So it's truly a great group of people, and I'm always honored to be there and really appreciate all of the effort and the time that goes into reaching out to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Next, Director McVeigh.
We are on the second or third Blue Ribbon Committee, me representing North Clackamas School District Board with the property at City Hall downtown Milwaukee. And I am happy to report that it's a great group of folks that will be forming a variety of ways to receive community input on what to do with that building should it sell. So nothing to report, but except that it's a great group that represents the entire community, and I think the outcome will be something that the community will support.
Great, thank you. Director Perez.
Yeah, just want to echo what Director Benaloga said. I was honored to be attend the Zoom meeting for the community collaboration at Rural Middle School in Milwaukee. And, you know, there's something I thought of. I came across this word called silo. And I wanted to just share this because this is what I think of when I think of the community collaboration that Harry Applebaum leads over at RAU. And he's carrying the torch from the previous social worker over there, Evan King. So silo represents people, teams, or companies who are working towards the same objective, often in close vicinity, but not sharing information. People not talking to other people. And this leads to wasted time and cost, not to mention missed opportunities. I ran across this and it made me think of what Harry and also the new principal was present for this community collaboration, Principal Nabil Zerazif. And I thought of all the other people that are part of this Zoom community collaboration, including Youth Era, Northwest Family Services, Madres de Corazon, Clackamas Women's Services, the Living Room, CASA, and so on and so forth. There must have been about 20 to 30 folks on this call, on this meeting. And I thought connecting the resources so that these silos don't work alone, working together. Different resources for our families and parents and students, connecting them so they're all coming together monthly, forming a village within a village. And it provides hope that maybe, just maybe, we might be able to connect one family, one student to a resource that they're in need of, but don't know how to access that resource. Or we could prevent a family that might go to two different silos and get the same service and become frustrated and then not want to do it again. So this community collaboration, my heart is that I hope to see it replicated in our schools, all our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Schroeder?
No report tonight.
Okay, Director Way? Think you're muted, Kathy.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Took me a while. I just have a few things to report on. Unfortunately, we still have many displaced families, folks who have been affected by the wildfires, and there's been just a lot of relief efforts happening. There's one in particular that is really focused on supporting migrant families, just because of some of the unique barriers that they may have to go into, traditional services for help. So Theophilus Church in Milwaukee, I know that Director Benalogo was there one weekend, and several other board members showed up to drop off, just really essential things, blankets, towels, things like that for families. And in just 4 to 5 days, over 400 families were served, which is pretty amazing. And it was all volunteer, grassroots led. I believe that with the makeup of different organizations, particularly those serving immigrants, there's going to be just continued asks for the community to continue to keep this effort going. Similarly, I also went to Wichita Center a couple weeks ago, dropped off some donations there. They are accepting donations Tuesday and Thursdays from 9:30 to 2 o'clock. And just continue to encourage community, if you can, to keep bringing your donations over there for families who every month, every week are just trying to access basic resources. And then related to that, I know that there's an emergency housing fundraiser happening October 4th through the 10th. So it's closing soon, but it's essentially to help families with rent support, security deposit, and utility payments. And, we know that a lot of families right now are just being burdened by by everything, right? By rent, by the wildfires. A lot of families are also still out of work, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. So any support that is needed to help with that funds, I believe, is greatly appreciated. And I do believe that the Wichita Center is hosting that fundraiser, if I'm not mistaken. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Board. You're all very busy. I will just mention some work with the Parent Community Leadership Alliance, and then finished up some of the training with prevention of child abuse through the Children's Center. And I had mentioned that before. It was very worthwhile, very comprehensive. And again, it's another area that we have to continue to work on. So thank you, Board, for all your work. Moving on to the next agenda item, number 6, North Clackamas Education Foundation report. I will turn that over to Matt Utterback, and you will make introductions.
I am happy to do that. And I'm also happy to piggyback on Kathy Way's comments regarding the Housing Assistance Fund out of the Wichita Center. Clackamas County recently donated $10,000 to that fund through their small grants program. So that was certainly a huge boost for us. And we know we will go through those dollars pretty quickly. So yeah, I would encourage those that are watching, if you're looking for a place to donate, that is a need in our community right now. Tonight, it is my pleasure to introduce representatives of the North Clackamas Education Foundation to do their annual report to our school board. Joining us tonight, I believe, is Rory Dunnenbeck. He's the foundation president or board chair, and Stephanie Rose, who is the foundation executive director. As the board knows, the district provides about $110,000 annually to the foundation. And in return for those dollars, the foundation has committed to providing at a minimum, $1 million over the term of that 5-year contract back to district programs. And they're well on their way to doing that. I'm excited tonight to have the foundation share with you that work. So Stephanie, I think you're gonna be allowed to share the screen here.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to share this report from you or with you. I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint that I have started up here. So this is our 2019-20 impact report. And this is where, as Matt mentioned, we had a $1 million pledge with our contract to go forward and meet that within the next 5 school years. We are at around 59% of that contract being met right now, which means that we are poised to meet that contract, if not exceed it. And one of the things that you can see from the bar graph here is we have made improvements in the way that we fund and the way that we make our funding accessible to teachers, people in the community, and the school district as well. I feel like we're doing a good job keeping up on that. And though we did have a small dip in our funding this year, a lot of that dip wrapped around our springtime teacher grants, with a lot of those grants not being able to be paid out to schools closing. So though they were awarded, they ended up in the long run not getting used. So that brought us down a little bit for this year. This is where you can see our funding for the district goes. This is, we did about $247,000 in support over this last year. A very large portion of it, 34% of it, went to scholarships. And then we've helped facilitate some fundraisers and some money moving out to the Emergency Housing Fund. In fact, right now we are running a fundraiser for the Emergency Housing Fund. We've brought in several $1,000s that have funneled through us. We've been reaching out to the community, making sure that we had some press going in the Clackamas Review and Portland Tribune to get that out there, making sure we're staying engaged on Facebook, and we're able to secure a $10,000 donation from Chartwells for that Emergency Housing Fund as well. So that's one. It's really important to me, and so we've kind of really shifted some of our focus to help that fund rebuild. And we've helped support the standard, backpack buddies, lunch buddies, Ready, Set, Go. Of course, this school year is all going to look a little bit different in that respect. And then 20% of our funding has gone to direct support to schools, and that is the program and activity fees, school supplies, athletic fees, things like that we send out to the schools. We had a historic year for the amount of scholarships that we awarded this year. We had a big decision to face in the spring, and we had to cancel our gala, like you all know. And that really goes a long way in getting us our funding for the next year. And I think kind of a reaction when you're unsure where your funding is going to be is to kind of shutter your doors and pull back a little bit. And we decided to go the completely opposite direction with that. So our one way to do that and really reach out to our community was through the class of 2020, making sure they got off on their best foot. So where we usually award around $55,000 to $60,000 in scholarships each year, we awarded over $82,000 in scholarships to the class of 2020. So that was 26 students. We had one student who did double up on scholarships and was awarded both of those. And we also took over 2 scholarships from the district, the Harold Taylor Scholarship and the Oakdale Scholarship. And due to our familiarity with technology, we stepped in and started facilitating the Owen and Edna Saban Scholarship a year early. We had to do all of those student interviews and everything online this year, and it just made sense for us to take that over. We did $45,000 in grants. These went district-wide. 14 schools from all areas of the district received 18 grants. Those are enrichment grants. We had 3,600 students that directly benefited from our grant funds. And as always, we had an incredibly wide range of grant requests. These were, music, career technical programs, senior graduation needs. We had some money that went through us and the Family Support Center for seniors that couldn't afford the graduation gowns, things like that, their announcements, things like that. Just we saw a lot of grants for innovative spaces in rooms. I think one of my favorite was whiteboard tables where teachers sit down and do their math and science lessons and write on their tables and engage in that way and have that space rather than using the small amount of paper that they were given. So we had a lot of, I think we see each year, we see our teachers get more and more creative with the grants that they're requesting us. And I know that we're really helping to support them, give their students the best. As we look into the 2021 school year, we are having some struggles with enrichment grants, of course, because teachers don't know what they need. They don't know where they are right now and what they're going to do. And so we've changed our model for them for this year to accepting the applications year round. Instead of having our set deadlines for application requirements, we've told the teachers that when you need the funding, come to us. Let us know that you need it. We'll get it to you as soon as we possibly can. We have already awarded over $5,000 in grants this year. One of our first grants was to an elementary school for books that are made specifically for online class reading. And the books focused on diversity and equity. So we felt that that was a great grant to kind of start off our distance learning with. We have already given $25,000 to the Ready, Set, Go programs. Those programs are going to be picking back up and continuing in some capacity. And other than that, we're taking direction from the district on their funding priorities. We know that those are shifting and changing, and that we will be asked to put funding to other areas where we usually do, like the middle school after school programs, program and activity fees and supplies. Those may look more like an online component that we may need to put some funding to. We are building stronger relationships with programs within the district. I'm feeling very pleased with the relationship we have built with the Family Support Center over the last couple of years. And going into this year, we decided that we are going to spend some of our time on focus and helping them fundraise, at least one fundraiser quarterly. Their staff is amazing and amazingly busy. And every moment that they need to fundraise takes away from the work that they can do. And so it really fits the Education Foundation's mission to step in and help them fundraise in that capacity. We are looking for new board members. As always, every year we come up. Our focus on board members is specifically diversity, equity, and inclusion. We would like a board that reflects our student population. We have right now, that is not the case. And so we're moving on working towards that. Our total projected funding for 2021, we're hoping to put out a minimum of $215,000. And I think that we can do that, especially if we maintain close relationship with the district and work on where those funding needs to go. And our gala online, which will be interesting. It'll be live streaming from YouTube on October 29th. You can find all of that information on our website. We'll also be having email blasts and things going out. So we've got an event on our Facebook. So if you guys can all join us for that, it'll be, I've watched a few of these online and they're interesting and they're kind of fun. I think it'll be a really neat event. And I'd love to see you all there. So from that, I'll stop sharing and take any questions you may have.
So board, any questions for Executive Director Stephanie Rose? Is the board chair NCF board chair there also?
He was not able to make it tonight, so I'm here by myself tonight.
Okay, Okay, you did a great job. But any questions? Oh, Director Perez.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have a quick question. Thank you, Stephanie, for the presentation, and thank you for all that you do over there at North Clackamas Education Foundation. It's exciting to hear when you have a successful year like you did last year, because your work supports our district mission as far as empowering and inspiring our students and to strengthen the quality of life of our local and global communities. That's what you're doing. Thank you. And I just the question I have is $45,000 in grants last year, 18 grants. I'm just curious, was there anything left over that didn't get utilized for grants, or?
Yes, so we actually had in our budget a total of 35,000 for grants, which was increased from last year. And due to what had happened in the springtime with some of the grants not being used and the schools closing, we shifted that funding from our grants pool over to our scholarships pool. So made
Okay.
sure it still went out, it just went out in a different way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Stephanie? Stephanie, I just want to recognize your continued passion over many years for our district, and I'm so glad that you are leading this work. And I have seen it grown, and I'm just so appreciative of your leadership and your passion for our community in all these areas. It's so greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. And do people, don't forget the gala October 29th online. Participate, help our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. Budget committee appointments, is that correct? Yeah, number 7. Galen Jacobson, our Chief Financial Officer, you will handle this item. Thank you for being here.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So tonight you have the choice to either to reappoint 2 standing committee members to vacancies that would otherwise be there. So we are requesting that Monica Di Pietrantonio and Angel Landron Gonzalez be reappointed to the budget committee for this next term.
Okay, board,
Can we
this is
take them together? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Director McVeigh, you had a question?
Can we take these together, or they need to be separate?
They will be together.
Okay.
And this is a discussion action item. So first, do you have any discussion on this? Just raise your hand. Then do we have consensus to move to?
Kathy Way has a question.
Oh, Director Way, I'm sorry.
It's just a comment. I just really appreciate members of our community for just stepping into these really important roles. I know it's a lot of meetings and it's a lot of maybe time away, you know, from your kids or other family responsibilities. So just really want to applaud all of our amazing volunteers for stepping in and fulfilling, particularly for the budget committee. It's so important that we have folks who are going to be providing feedback and making important decisions.
Any other comments? I would like to add that, especially, I think these 2 individuals are leadership. One is chair and one is served as vice chair too. So thank you for continuing and the work that you have done. So do we have consensus then to move this to action? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, Director Schrodel, are you okay? I don't. Looks like we have a consensus, or yeah, consensus. Okay, so do I have a motion for this approval of these budget committee appointments?
Director
I make a
Venelo.
motion to
I
Sorry,
think
Troy.
Go ahead, Gina. Go ahead, Gina.
Director
Uh,
Benaloga,
I move that we uphold the superintendent's recommendation to not declare budget committee positions vacant and reappoint Monica D. Pietrantonio to position 10 and Angel Landron Gonzalez to position 11.
thank you. Director Benaloga, do we have a second?
Second, McVeigh.
Thank you. So any discussion? Let's move to the roll call then. Director Benaloga,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schrodel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
and Bauer is an aye. Thank you, board, and thank you to the budget committee members who are willing to continue their important work. Next on the agenda, moving on, is the school board legal counsel. This is an action item. I will just give a little background here. If I can find the right thing. I have to find it. We had a committee that looked at sorry, excuse me, board, for a minute. I did print this out. In July 2020, the district solicited requests for information from legal firms with experience representing public school districts. On August 24th, the committee of district staff and school board members reviewed the request for information. School board members on the request of information review committee determined to have the entire school board interview. We did that on March 24th, 2020. We interviewed representatives from Garrett, Herman, Robertson, and Miller, Nash, Graham, and Dunn. This is an action item. Do I have a motion?
Vice Chair Bauer, I just wanted to repeat what you said. So this is a motion to approve one of those two firms. Is that correct?
Correct, to make a selection for school board legal counsel.
Thank you. I know that the board had extensive conversation around these two firms, and it seems that based on our values around equity and diversity representation, Miller, Nash, Graham, and Dunn sort of rose up at the top of this particular selection. So my motion would be for the board to select Miller, Nash, Graham, and Dunn as the legal counsel representative.
Thank you, Director Way. Do I have a second?
Director Benaloga, second.
Okay, a second from Director Benaloga. Any further discussion? I
So
will
this is
follow up.
Corey.
Oh, go ahead, Director McVeigh.
So I just want to be clear on the role of this firm. It doesn't preclude administrations to use our previous firm for different roles and responsibilities that they seem fit, correct?
That's my understanding. Is that correct, Superintendent?
Yes, that is correct, Director McVeigh.
Okay, because I am a little concerned on the cost increase of this new firm, but I'll just leave it at that.
Any other discussion? I will add that I did check two references from each firm, and people did call me back. I called them Monday and they called me back this week, and all references were good, overall very good. And I think, all right, and there wasn't anything that we had not discussed before. So they all had ratings from in the on the range of 1 to 10, 10 being high. They all said 9 or 10, so. So if no other further discussion, let's go for the vote. And the roll call. Oh, I lost my roll call. Director Benaloga,
Aye.
I lost my list. Do you know who's next? Okay, here it is. Director McVeigh.
Abstain.
Okay, Director Perez. Are you muted? Director Perez? Is he still with us?
I'm checking.
I don't see his, I don't see him.
Let's go ahead and continue.
Okay, we'll come back. Director Schroedel,
Ruth,
pardon, I didn't hear that.
yay.
Okay.
Ruth,
Okay. Director Way,
Aye.
okay, and Bauer is aye. And now we'll go back to Director Perez. Are you there? Director McVeigh, you had a comment?
I just wanted to qualify why I'm abstaining. I was in and out of cell service during the interviews, and I just I didn't get a chance to get the full meal deal, if you will. So
Okay,
thanks.
thank you for that.
Vice Chair Bauer, it does appear that Director Perez has been dropped from the meeting. You do have 4 votes in favor, 1 abstention. That is enough for the motion to pass if you would like to declare it as such.
Yeah, let's go ahead with that vote then. 4 in favor, 1 abstain, and 1 lost contact. We hope he makes it back. So thank you, board. And thank you to the committee that spent the time and the staff on review of legal staff. Okay, so next is I have too many papers. Agenda item 8, school board legal counsel. Is that correct?
Number 9.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Matt. Reactivate superintendent search. So the first item, 9A, is the recommendation is this is a discussion action item, approve reactivation of superintendent search by declaring the superintendent position vacant as of July 1st, 2020. And I guess, yes, I move this forward as some background. And I do believe that we have Mike Collins from Ray and Associates is available for questions. But just as some background, I'll remind people that last year, November 21st, 2019, board declared the superintendent vacant open for the retirement of Superintendent Utterback. December 12th, the board approved the search process and timeline based on a caveat that all dates and processes are subject to change upon unforeseen circumstances. And we did find ourselves in those unforeseen circumstances with COVID. It was very difficult to continue with the search. So out of the goodness of his heart, we got our superintendent to continue for another year. On January 23rd, the search, we did approve and adopt a search hiring criteria that we will discuss at the next item. And the board received a report on 23rd regarding COVID-19, and the current superintendent was asked to rescind his retirement. April 9th, we approved suspending the superintendent search and rescinding the current superintendent's retirement. So this discussion action, though, is based on the search process and timeline. So I'll open it up for discussion. Maybe we should go through each director to see if you have comments and questions for Mike Collins. We'll start with you, Director Benaloga. Any comments, questions?
Just real quickly, I think from the search firm, I know that we had all met with the previous representative. What is the plan going forward with someone new, I believe, going through the search process with us?
I will let Mike, do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you. I reside in the central part of the country, but I will tell you that I love your part of the country and spent a lot of time there. Actually, I'm doing some work in the state of Washington also. But so thank you. And Jenna, it's a very fair question. I am Mike Collins. You know, my background will speak for itself. We're happy to send it to you. I've been what we call probably the North Central regional director for Ray and Associates for 5 years. I actually was very recently named the president of the company. And I will actually be the lead on this. So, you know, there's this fellow named Steve Cochrane who will also be joining me, but that'll be after the first of the year. But we're delighted to be with North Clackamas, and nothing will leave. Jim was an outstanding representative of the firm. We know each other well, and he'll be missed. So I'm here. I've done a lot of background. I've had conversation internally with your staff last week. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I will tell you that the timeline that I do believe you have before you or have seen is exactly what we're going to meet. So we still have every anticipation that by the beginning of February, the search will be completed. The application process will be underway very quickly. And I'm happy to respond to any questions, Jenna, but there's really not much of a heartbeat to be missed in this case. I'm happy to address any specific questions. But the one thing I will tell you is I spent 2 terms and 8 years in your seat. I was an elected member of a city school board in a suburb of Columbus, Ohio for 2 terms. And then I was an elected member for 2 terms of the State Board of Education. So my affinity is in the seat you hold. My experience, and during that time actually between both, and it probably speaks more to the political dysfunction of state government, is that I did 6 searches in 16 years as a board member, besides all the number that I've done for Ray. So I hope that helps. But I want this to be an open dialogue, and definitely no question of the quality that we deliver, but also a sense of comfort is who's this new face. So whatever I can provide to you, happy to do so, and happy to move forward. So Jenna, I'm sure you asked the question, and I'm sure I missed the question in terms of the answer, but how can I help you?
So Mike, I think what she might have been looking for was that you will be reaching out and meeting with each of us at
Yes,
some
absolutely.
point. Okay.
Because we need to redo it. I know that Jim
Yeah.
did that before. We will absolutely redo that. And the scheduling actually might not start tomorrow, but it definitely will start on Monday. So we'll build a schedule, and this will happen very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be similar. I will tell you, it's not necessarily, you know, we're not bringing new fairy dust, as they say, and new magic. But the fact of the matter is that, first of all, it's important for me to really understand what your thoughts and concerns and cares are. But the other side is also important for you to have dialogue with me individually, as well as the dialogue we'll have collectively. So that will be scheduled either starting tomorrow or Monday, and will happen within the next 2 weeks for sure.
Thank you.
And Jenna, will not affect the timeline. Is the other thing.
Anything else, Director Benaloga?
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, Director McVeigh,
None for me.
Director Perez. Oh, he's not.
He's having trouble getting reconnected. He's still,
Okay.
he-
Oh, that's too bad. I was
Hmm.
hoping he was back. Director Schroedel?
Thank you. I feel just want to first say thank you to Superintendent Utterback for making it so that we actually have the situation of kind of repeating the work we did prior. While I will miss you, Superintendent Utterback, it's nice to at least be 6 months, 8 months past when this started and when we had to cease the superintendent search, because we now have things in place so people can travel, so that we can do an in-person interview versus everything having to be Zoom. But so I feel confident with the current firm, which was the previous firm, and moving forward with the process that's put forth. So thank you for being here, and thank you for still being here during this transition.
Thank you, Director Shertle, for that comment. Director Wei?
Yes, thank you. I echo those same sentiments of just appreciation for our superintendent, as well as nice meeting you virtually, Mike, and looking forward to some of the one-on-one conversations. I am just curious. I know that we really strive to do deep community engagement and outreach, really sort of listening to everyone in our district. And can you just tell us a little bit, or just give us an overview of how, as our new sort of face of this process, how you will do that for our community? Also just given in light of virtual meetings that are now replacing in person.
And if you don't mind if I call you by first name, is that okay, Kathy? So you've already done your constituent meetings. That was done by Jim before. We have all those records. I've actually started to I've been through them once. Trust me, I'll go through them more often than once. But and I'm not only one of the biggest proponents of this part of the process in my years with Ray and Associates. I pride myself on, I've had a lot of, over my 35 years, I've had a bucket of facilitation training. I actually do consulting with school boards actually in my own life. But so I will tell you that the normal part of the process, just to refresh memory, is that you've already done this part. We'll get into the finishing off the application process, bring you our recommended clients or the clients that we've screened away, screened to you with all the resumes and applications and videos and so forth. But I am a very strong advocate for when you get to the finalists that you're going to put some of these groups or collect these groups back together, and your finalist candidates are going to spend time with them. So in the last 4 months, I've done 3 of these, all by Zoom, where with the candidate, with the community meetings, none of them have been under 100 people. So, and there are some things we'll work out. There's no question that I honestly believe that, I think for the sake of everybody, that questions that the community wants to ask, if we're going to do it all by Zoom, depending on, what the data tells us, what the health departments tell us. But if you do them all by Zoom, the questions need to be submitted in advance. We will have a gatekeeper for if we have time for additional questions, et cetera. And we're very, very familiar with that. In light of the comments that I think, Tori, I think it was Stephen, you brought up, is that we actually are pretty big advocates right now, if your data and your health officials say it's okay, that at least in the finalists, you should really have an interface with them face to face. I do believe that in what I call the semifinals, the 5 or 6 that you're going to interview, you can do that by Zoom. But when you get down to your finalists, your 2 to 3, if at any way possible, and we will ask them from the very beginning, once they're selected for the first round, are you willing to travel? And we will share that. They'll be told we'll share that information, and you will know that. So Kathy and everybody else, it's all of that. But I expect, I'm hopeful. I can't expect anything. You're the leaders. This is your search. I am very hopeful that you will choose to engage your community with your finalists again. And that gives Kathy this sense of real legitimacy. We have records of their focus group experiences and their comments, your original interviews, the survey from the entire community, and we'll bring them back to the community again. And I'm expecting a series of meetings which will include internal within staff as well as the public. And actually, that's probably one of the reasons during my 6 interviews, my 6 selections of a superintendent as a board member, the reason I actually reached out to Ray originally was because I dealt with 4 firms, and by far the best, and this is 6 years ago, the best process that I liked was what they had. So I assure you that that will happen.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful? I mean, do you want more than that? Does anybody else want more than that?
Welcome back, Director Perez. We have Mike Collins here from the firm. And what we're focused on right now is discussion of reactivating superintendent search, but we're focused on the timeline. So we've had discussion. Can I have consensus that we can move on to action? Can I have a thumbs up? Director Schroedel? Okay, so if we move to action, I entertain, is there a motion for this item dealing with the timeline?
The motion should be, if I may interject, the motion needs to be 2 parts: declaring the superintendent position vacant on July 1, 2021, and approving
Thank you,
the
man.
revised superintendent timeline.
Thank you, Superintendent. Yes.
Thank you.
If you just read what's on our summary, I should have done that. So, motion? Don't be in a hurry here, people. Somebody unmute.
I make a motion.
Director Way? Yes.
Yes, I'd make a motion to approve the reactivation of the superintendent search by declaring the superintendent position vacant as of July 1, 2021, and approve the revised search timeline.
Thank you, Director Way. Is there a second?
Director Benaloga, I second the motion.
Thank you. Second by Director Benaloga. So no discussion, any further discussion? Okay, let's move on to the roll then. Director Benaloga, voting.
Aye.
Director Ford, or she's not here. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez.
Can you hear me okay, Vice Chair?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm using the phone. I had difficulties connecting with the audio through the Zoom here. So aye.
Thank you. Director Schroedel. I think you're mute.
Aye.
Thank you. And Director Way
Aye.
and Director Bauer is an aye. So it's unanimous. This motion passes. Thank you, Board. Item 9B is looking at the criteria. That's what it's focused on. This is a discussion. It's not action. But I'll just remind you too that we have had a lot of discussion from the community. We met with Jim Hager on January 13th and 14th. During those 2 days, each board member and various staff were interviewed individually. A community stakeholder meeting was held with community members, government officials, school administrators, along with one high school student, a meeting with executive team. January 21st, in a special board meeting, we reviewed results of thought exchange, stakeholder meetings, board members survey information. And January 23rd, the board adopted the search hiring criteria. So that was also in your packet. This is discussion. So let's just go down the roll again and see if you have any discussion. That probably would be the best. Director Benaloga, any input or discussion?
When we're talking about just the hiring criteria,
Yes, I believe it's the flyer,
Flyer, okay.
Superintendent Utterback. So those are the bullets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 10 of them.
Mm.
North
and I-
Clackamas seeks a superintendent who.
Right. We did a lot of outreach and of course, connected with the many staff groups and of course our community. Superintendent Utterback is going to be he's going to be a hard role to follow. So
Yes.
he is.
Yes.
We've been so fortunate to have him at the helm of our district and even more blessed that he was willing to stay on this year and help us navigate these challenging waters. So we just appreciate him so much. And the flyer, I know a lot of work went into it. And so I certainly uphold all of the things that we talked about in doing our best to find Superintendent Utterback's successor. So I still agree with all of the hiring criteria that we have on the flyer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Director McVeigh.
Yep, I'm good.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. Director Perez. You are muted. Oh, you're using your phone?
Yeah.
Let's go on. We'll come back. Director Schrodel.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you, Director Schrodel. Director Way.
I also don't have any feedback on the criteria or on the poster. I think the language is fine and support it moving forward.
Thank you, Director Way. Director Perez, I'll try you again.
I'm back, Vice Chair.
Great.
Agree with, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Agree with all the hiring criteria. Real quick, I just want to say I saw Matt's name on the consent agenda under administrative termination, and I was trying to erase that, but I couldn't. So he's going to be sorely missed. But yeah, agree with all the hiring criteria. Thanks, Vice Chair.
Well, thank you, board. And yeah, I agree with this sentiment. And Superintendent Utterback, you've been so valuable during these this year. It's just been, I know, not easy for anyone, but thank you for stepping up again.
It has been an honor. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so that's
We
anything else?
will bring back the hiring criteria then for adoption at the October 22nd meeting.
Yes.
And in between now and that meeting, I know Mike and Sandra will reach out and have conversations with each of you. And we'll also connect Mike. I know he and I will have a conversation as well as some other staff as well.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you this evening. And I'm very excited to work with you going forward. And you are an outstanding district. This is not just because Matt made it a great job. It's a great job. And we're very excited to bring you some very, very fine candidates. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for also joining us. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And thank you, Superintendent, for reminding me of that follow-up. Okay, the last agenda item, right? Is that right? Number 10. Student investment account. This is an action item, and we will welcome Joel Stewart, our lead administrator of Student Success Act. Thank you, Joel, for being here.
Yes, good evening, board. Tonight, I am asking that you, the board, approve the grant agreement between North Clackamas School District and the Oregon Department of Education. I will remind you that the amount of the grant represents 30% of the original allocation, and it is what I shared with you how we would proceed at the board meeting on September 15th. So unless there's any questions, I bring it back to you for approval.
Any questions for Joel? Okay, this is an action item. I will ask for a motion to approval of this investment account.
Motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation approval of the student investment account agreement with the Oregon Department of Education.
Thank you, Director Perez. The motion, the second.
Friedel, second.
Okay, thank you, Director Shuttle, for second. So now let's entertain and take the vote, unless there's any discussion, further discussion. Director Benaloga,
Aye.
Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schrodel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
and Director Bauer, aye. So unanimous approval of the student success investment account, approval of that with the Oregon Department of Education. Thank you, Joel, for all of your hard work. You know, I don't know what more we can say except all of these charts and tables and time that you spent on this. And it's really important work. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, thank you, Joel.
there being no further business, but I would like to just follow up. I don't think I have any follow-up items, no assignments for the superintendent or ask. It's important work that we're all doing. And thanks to all of you staff, parents and students and board members, these are difficult times. So again, I'm just going to ask for patience and kindness. We're just hanging there together. So if there's no further business and no objection, the meeting will be adjourned. Thank you for your time tonight. And Libra, come
Thank
back.
you. You did good.
Nice job,
Mr.
Mickey.
Blag,
Good night.
without
you.
her.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.